Hey,
Hey,
what's up?
not much. Looking at this guy with a ponytail, he looks like a freaking idiot. Dude, who puts two earrings on their ears? Only
Uh,
dumb people do
Rich
that.
people.
He doesn't look rich. He looks like a guy with. He looks like a slimy guy with a rat tail.
Look, that's a pretty in haircut in the year 1998, okay?
I don't know.
Do you want to do this guy? Or
Yeah,
do
I'll
I
do this
want
guy.
to? Okay, you can do him.
Rumor has it, Ange, that you jumped off the top of a skyscraper. What the fuck? The groupies were getting annoying, so I thought I'd give them the slip. Is this you or?
This is you, just your normal voice.
Alright. Ange and an old gentleman wearing an expensive suit were alone in a massive modern conference room. All of the newest machines for presentations were installed there, but they didn't upset its refined and composed atmosphere, and that alone was enough to make the business-like theme of the room abundantly clear. However, that didn't matter at all to Angie. She carelessly sat on a high-class chair that executives making a salary of several 10 million yen probably sat in, looking aloof from the world. It's probably because I knew they were remodeling on the lower floor and had the safety net out. Angie talked about it like it was no big deal, but in reality it had been a miracle among miracles. To think that she'd shoot through several layers of safety netting for the remodeling project, been caught in a multicolored banner adorning the atrium, and slipped off, only to be caught by a final banner, land on the ground without a scratch, and then briskly leave that place. It put Hong Kong movies to shame. What the fuck?
Yeah, that sort of thing always happens in like a lot of those Jackie Chan movies and stuff.
Oh, okay.
They'll fall off a building, but then they'll land on those things that come out.
Yeah, scaffolding and all that.
Yeah. Well, not scaffolding. That's kind of hard.
Oh, yeah. But, like, those banners.
Yeah.
Whether you knew there was a net or not, this is a 200-meter tall super skyscraper we're talking about, right? If things hadn't gone as you planned, there'd be a mess to deal with now. Really big and gross mess. I figured that if I died, then I'd be dead, and that would be that, more or less. Well, still, I was testing my luck a bit. Call it youthful zeal. As though saying that she'd had enough of that topic, Angie shrugged coldly. Seeing that, the old gentleman, who was looking at the world below through a crack in the blinds, cackled. So you were testing your luck, is that it? My, you truly are Kinzo's grandchild. The nerve to trust your life to chance. The chairman was also a woman who could stake her life on a bet like it was nothing. So maybe this really is the Yoshimiya blood at work. You really will make it big in the future. Please, let me be blunt. Why not give up this running away from home act and return to the Sumadara family? I heard that Mom had a bad relationship with her family. I don't want to go to the house of people I first met at a funeral. The Sumadaras are Mom's. The Sumadaras are Mom's family. They're an old family from Kyoto, and compared to Mom's frank attitude, unbelievably strict. The only Sumadara I'd been on good terms with was Grandpa, who was living apart from his family under the guise of a retirement. Mom kept in touch with him too, but she avoided the rest of the family completely, almost hostilely so. So when I went out to play with the Sumadara family, it was always Grandpa's house I visited. When I was young, I didn't really understand, but I hear that Grandpa was in an extremely weak position as a man who'd moved into his wife's family register, and his relationship with Grandma was also bad. You might even say that Grandma hated him and confined him to the house. It isn't hard to imagine that because she has the soft spot for Grandpa alone. Mom was also hated by the Sumadaras. Since I was her daughter, they probably hated me quite a bit too, and yet they appeared for the first time at Mom's funeral, shamelessly going on about how big I'd gotten, like they could actually act like family after all this time. When Aunt Ava died, I would inherit all the wealth for the Yoshimiya family. If that wasn't what they were after, there's no way they would have been able to say such disgusting words. Well, it's not as though I can't understand your desire for self-abandonment, now that you're all alone. Thanks for that, yep. That this isn't self-abandonment. I'm just taking a carefree stroll now that annoying Aunt Ava has finally kicked the bucket. Everyone else is just making too big a deal out of it. Of course, everyone's after the vast Ushiyama wealth I bear. They must think that becoming my guardian means they'll be able to do as they please with that wealth. Just how many people have tried to get close to me, acting like they want to be a substitute parent. If you ever find that you're hurting, please talk with me, if it will help, okay? After all, I think of you as my own grandchild, Ange. Ha! I say no thank you for now. More importantly, let's return to what we were talking about. Ange, no matter how many times you ask, I am hiding nothing. The chairman was the only survivor on Rokkenshima that day, and she passed away without saying anything. I myself know nothing. Everything is wrapped in... Oh, I myself know nothing. Everything is wrapped in darkness, you see. This old gentleman was one of the leaders who'd been entrusted with the business group Ava had built up after she passed away. The one he called chairman was the former chairman, Ushimiya Ava. His company once held friendly ties with Hideyoshi's business, and he'd had a close relationship with both Hideyoshi and Ava. For that reason, when Ava lost Hideyoshi, he became the only person to whom Ava might have let her true intentions slip. Whenever Ava's heart was torn by the loss of her family, whenever she took it out on Ange, he had acted as a buffer between the two. So although Ange didn't trust him, she found him a very easy person to question. That crime was, no, that accident. If I call it a crime, I'll get into trouble. I had the same question about it as the public in the talk shows. At that time of the accident, why was Aunt Ava in a place 2 kilometers away from the mansion, all alone, on the night of a storm? Back then, Kinzo was unsure as to whom he should select to be his successor. Officially, he decided his son, Kuros, but he didn't have much trust in that man. So, to fairly determine a successor from among the 4 siblings, he made this game-like test called the Riddle of the Epitaph. Obstinately, yes. Kinzo probably planned to make Ava the successor from the beginning. He wanted to withdraw his own rule that the eldest son be the successor, and instead of Kraus, leave the family to the extremely diligent and brilliant Ava. The new rule about giving the inheritance to the one who solved the epitaph was probably nothing more than a farce to snatch the position of successor away from Kraus. What do you mean by farce? There was no need for anyone to solve that epitaph. Once it had been displayed for an appropriate amount of time, Kenzo could just call Ava, whom he truly wanted to succeed him, and give her the answer. In other words, that itself would provide proof of her succession to the headship. This isn't something they've brought up on the talk shows, is it? Well, once you bring up the succession of the headship, conspiracy theories tend to rise to the surface. I'm no fool myself. I won't go out of my way to say things that could invite misunderstandings, you see? This was his theory. At that time, the Ishime family head Kinzo, whose remaining life was announced to be short, was troubled by the problem of who was to succeed him. Normally, the successor would be fixed as the oldest son, Cross, who Kinzo had chosen himself. But in his later years, Kinzo began to think that Eva would make a more fitting family head. However, Kinzo, who was stubborn even against himself, was stymied by this title of successor that he'd already given to Cross. And he'd searched for an official stance by which he could skip over Cross and select Eva as his successor. That official stance was the Riddle of the Epitaph. The primary successor was still Cross, but there was a new rule saying that if someone appeared who could solve the riddle, they would be chosen as successor to the headship. Then, on what would probably be his final family conference, Kinzo told Eva the answer to that riddle himself. In short, it was the same as proclaiming that Eva herself was his successor. On that day, Eva was summoned by Kinzo, who revealed the answer to her. And so that she could succeed the headship, he called Eva to the hidden mansion of Kudawarian, which only the head knew about. And because Aunt Eva arrived at the hidden mansion one step ahead, she escaped harm in an accident, you say. Maybe Aunt Eva just killed everyone and made it look like an accident so she could steal all the wealth for herself. And maybe that's why only she escaped unharmed. Well, that's what the papers are shouting about. However, I believe Eva. I say I'd say there are several points that justify trusting her. For example, that ring of the Ishimiya family head, which is on your finger now, Ange. That ring is the only one of its kind in the world, which Kinzo had made specially. And the artisan who made it acknowledges that the object on your finger is, without doubt, that ring. The Ishimiya family head's ring. That ring which the heft of gold and the one-legged seal on it had diamond arranged on the pedestal and felt both sturdy and reminiscent of the dark hobbies of the rich. Kinzo had worn that on his finger without removing it for even a moment. This man was saying that the fact that Eva had proved that Kinzo had acknowledged her as her successor. After all, Eva certainly did have that ring. And if you take it into consideration that Eva actually was talented and that Kraus made a fool of himself several times on the business scene, I cannot imagine that Eva's story is completely made up. Although there's the possibility that she murdered grandfather in order to steal the ring, then Aunt Eva, using some kind of trick, massacred everyone and made it look like an accident. Ah, yes. It seems the papers were saying something about her massacring everyone, with keeping all the wealth to herself as a goal. True, Eva was the person capable of holding back nothing when she was determined to accomplish something. Or she may have committed murder just once in her life, if a chance for keeping all the Ishimiya family wealth for itself presented itself. However, I don't think that happened. So what's this second point that justifies your trust in her? Eva's family, Hideyoshi and George. It might be difficult for you to believe all of a sudden, Ange, but Eva was a person who treasured family greatly. True, part of me didn't want to believe or acknowledge it, but I did understand vaguely. And Eva certainly had been a person who treasured her family. After all, the root of her twisted personality had nothing more than the sadness of losing her beloved husband and son. After getting hit with her angry outburst as she tried to distract herself from the... After getting hit with her angry outburst as she tried to distract herself from the pain, I have no feelings of sympathy at all. But it's not like I can't imagine how the incredible shock of losing her whole family must have changed her character. You're saying there's no Aunt Eva who loved her family would throw away her husband and her son. That's right. Even if Eva really was the culprit and massacred the entire family, making it look like an accident, she most certainly would have spared her husband and her son. She would quibble that, by coincidence, only her family had been in the hidden mansion. If Hideyoshi and George had been safe, and even I would probably even suspect Eva. I truly cannot imagine that Eva's wailing at Hideyoshi's funeral was an act. Sounds like both points are so far just circumstantial evidence. This isn't the same as physically proving Aunt Eva's innocence. If you say that, then you're stuck right away. Eva was the only survivor, and she says that this is the truth. But no one can prove her innocence. Yes, that's right, and no one can prove that she committed a crime either. And the final point that justifies trusting her is the police. After all, it was such a flashy crime. The police were being pushed forward by a public in an uproar over conspiracy theories, so they must have investigated Eva thoroughly. It was easy to feel something unnatural about the claim Eva had avoided the accident by coincidence, because she alone had escaped to a hidden mansion. Furthermore, at the time, Hiroshi's company had been right in the middle of takeover struggle, and in order to buy off the big stockholders, she'd wanted a large sum of cash. It shouldn't be too hard to find a motive there. But as a matter of fact, there had been nothing at all that implicated Eva as she went to the family conference. Nothing unnatural was found on her that could have been used to brutally murder her family and make it look like an accident. The servants who escaped harm by being off duty on that day also stated that they hadn't seen anything strange regarding anyone related to the event, Eva included. Putting all that together, it could only be concluded that Eva had headed to that Eva had headed to Rakanjima for a normal family conference without any change, and had encountered an accident. The police looked so intensely, and they still couldn't find evidence that it was a crime. They reached the conclusion themselves. Doesn't this resolve the Rakanjima suspicion? That just means that the police couldn't find evidence that was a crime, right? There's nothing I can say to counter that. It becomes devil's proof. To expose it as a crime, you would simply need to find evidence.
You just need to say it in red.
Just need to say it in red. Just say it in red. To expose it as a crime, you would simply need to find evidence. But what could you possibly find to prove her innocence? It is impossible to prove a negative fact. Did Aunt Ava commit a crime or did she not? Because we can't find any materials and to just say for sure the truth will remain a mystery. That's what you're saying, right? That's it. Phrased in a manner you would prefer. That's what it amounts to. It was impossible even for Aunt Ava to prove her own innocence. On that island, an unfortunate incident occurred, accident, and Ava survived by chance. And we don't know any more... Oh. Whoops. In short, it all comes down to whether you believe the story of the only survivor, Ava, or not. I believed. The ring and her praiseworthy love for her family, and the tears she shed at the funeral, taking all that into consideration, I decided to believe her story. But I don't believe if she wanted to steal that ring, there were probably many ways for her to do it, and no one knows if her relationship with her family really was that good. No one can prove that tears at the funeral at a funeral are real. What? Anyway, I hated Aunt Ava from the very beginning, so I don't even want to believe her. How does one view the truth of the crime? You and I are on completely opposing sides. Even though the information we are given is exactly the same, we interpret it in completely different ways. This happens often in politics and business. The exact same enterprise will always be assessed in multiple different ways. Do you know why? Why? It's a question of whether one has love. Whether you feel love for someone or not completely changes how you view them. If a person you like gives to the poor, you respect them for it, right? But if someone you hate starts donating, you fiercely protest that it's a publicity stunt or that they're handing out favors. No matter what they do or don't do, you thank them if you have love and criticize them if you don't. That's how the world works. Can Aunt Ava be trusted or can't she? You're saying that's all that really matters? Those who suspect her will probably take anything she does or doesn't do and truly see it as something unnatural. And it works in reverse. As for me, I think that, barring certain extreme cases, truth might not exist in this world after all. No, even if truth does exist, whether you believe it or not is determined whether you have love or not. Can you really call truth without certainty truth? Even if Aunt Ava had been able to show physical proof that she had an alibi, would you have been able to believe it? It's hard to counter that. I hate Aunt Ava, so I'll probably deny any information beneficial to her, and interpret any neutral information in a negative way. In other words, the truth is already decided inside me. So what in the world is this truth that I'm still searching for, unsatisfied? That's how it is. So no matter what you hear from me, since you still suspect Ava after all this time, nothing will change. At the very least, even if you were to grasp a piece of hitherto unknown information, I don't think you'd be able to reach the truth the way you are now. So I can't reach the truth? After all, no matter what kind of new information or proof you find, Ange, it won't change your stance that Ava is the culprit, right? So it's pointless to investigate anything more, because the truth inside of you is already decided. However, if you stop assuming that to be the truth, if you wish to struggle further towards the deeper, real truth, there's a single way. I believe I already mentioned it, but do you know what it is? Drop preconceived notions. Is it love? I don't really know what you mean. Right now, you're considering this under the assumption that Ava is the culprit. But that's no different than looking at something with a single eye. With one eye, no matter how much you squint, you cannot see an object in 3 dimensions, right? That's why we have another eye. And of course, it's in a different position from the first eye. You're telling me to look at things based on the supposition that Aunt Ava isn't the culprit, or else that it was a real accident? Yes, that's correct. When thinking about anything, you should always try to look at it from different perspectives. If you don't, you won't understand anything about what is real. It's the same with newspapers. You can't see anything from the single viewpoint of a writer who wrote an article in a single newspaper. Sometimes you can only process information completely and in 3 dimensions when you read multiple newspapers. Without love, the truth cannot be seen. Sounds nice. Maybe he thought it interesting that such a flashy phrase would pop out of his mouth. For a while he laughed, looking pleased like some kind of idiot. At the same time, he was telling me that he'd said everything he knew, and that it was about time to leave. I understood that and got to my feet. I do understand your feelings, Ange. You should do as you like for a while, until you're satisfied. You were 6 years old at the time. I understand how you must feel after losing your family before you could even understand what that meant, and how you must still be unable to sort out your heart. You may learn the truth, and you may not. Ava may be the culprit, and she may be a victim. I pray that you find the truth you believe in, Ange. A journey at such a young age may prove to be a valuable experience. Thank you very much. I'm truly sorry to be a bother when you're so busy, Okanagi-san.
Okay, now we have a new tip.
Whoa,
New
Okanagi! Whoa!
Okanogi.
Dude. That's pretty cool. Alright, I guess I'll read them then.
Yep.
A leading member of the Ushimiya group. Between the time of Ava's death and Ange succeeding her position's management of the group has fallen to core members like him in her stead. However, Ange has no desire to inherit that role, leaving the group on the brink of fracturing internally and putting how do you pronounce it?
Okanogi
in a difficult position. He was once the president of a Foodstuffs Corporation distribution company and had an intimate relationship with Hideyoshi's business. Because of that long-lasting association, Ava trusted him particularly, and he was appointed to an important post within the group. Cool. I like him now. I don't think that he's a dumbass. I think he's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
No trouble. What are you going to do now? Well, whatever works. I've made appointments with several specialists and people related to the crime, and I plan on to go visit them. I see. I hope you find an answer you can accept. Cool. At that time, President Okanogi's secretary came in, handing him a memo over his shoulder. He read it, then looked between it and my face. Ange, my apologies that this comes right after telling you to try going on a journey, but I have some information you should lend an ear to. It looks like you're in a bit of a nasty fix right now. People after my money. This is why money is stupid. Yes, but if you sell it off all the wealth, trying to donate the whole sum to the public welfare, you'll make the eyes pop out of those people optimistic about the chances with your fortune. Oh, that Sumadara family. Those guys act so proud like they're my guards or something. I haven't forgotten that, David. There's no way I'll put myself in the care of the Sumadara family. They probably want to, as Aunt Ava often threatened in the past. Cut off my arms and legs, throw me in a warehouse, and suck the Ushimiya family's wealth dry. Apparently, a messenger from the Sumadara family is coming here. They're saying to hand you over. No, that's that. They want to protect you. A messenger, you say? It's your aunt, Kiri's younger sister. Whoa! I believe she told me earlier that she thinks of you as a little sister. She's got to be joking. At least call me a granddaughter, you old hag. Judging from the context, it seems that they have no wish to listen to your desires. I have a car waiting in the parking lot, 2 stories underground. Go. The Sumadara family is telling you to hand me over. Is it really okay to let me go? You will definitely become something big in the future, Ange. Let us call this favor to be repaid upon your success. Go quickly. After bowing silently and deeply, Ange left that place at a dash. After watching her leave, the female secretary straightened her glasses and whispered,
do you want to play her?
Sure.
Okay.
The Sumatra family told us to stall her. Is it really all right to let her go? We did stall her more than enough. If they still don't make it in time, that's their own fault. I told Ange to run for it. I informed the Sumatra that Ange would be coming. Whether she's caught or not, I will not be blamed. Everything in this world is love, you see. Don't worry, she'll escape. After all, that child is capable of leaping off a building to shake her pursuers. Okanogi looked down again through a crack in the blinds, muttering, "Nope, definitely couldn't do it." Ange wasn't a fool herself. She got off the elevator, but on the third floor. A taxi in the second level of the basement that's so neat and clean. Oh. Taxi in the second level of the basement that's so neat and clean that I don't like it. It's probably better to refuse for now. But my enemies aren't fools either. They're probably waiting in the first floor lobby, as well as the underground parking lot. It's such a massive building. Instead of getting anxious and escaping outside, maybe it's better to stay inside and wait it out. No, that's useless. If they get their hands on a security room in a modern building like this, I'll have nowhere to run to. This entire building is like a massive dead end. The third floor is the business floor. A young girl like me will clearly stick out. Trying not to stand out any more than I had to, I walked at a brisk pace, searching for an emergency exit. It'd be perfect if that staircase was an outside one. I found a door to the emergency exit. After opening the heavy door, I found the outside staircase I'd hoped for. I bumped into a man who looked like an employee skipping work and smoking a cigarette. After glaring at me, he quickly crushed out his cigarette and went away. It looked like there was no one below. If I'm going to escape, now's my only chance. What the fuck? Just when I thought that, a black car slid right under me and came to a sudden stop with an incredible squealing of the tires. Judging by the sound of the tires, it seemed that they had several other allies and that one of them had come here to block this path. Not bad, Aunt Kasumi. Do you think you'd even send a car to pick up your little sister when she's trying to get through the emergency exit? Bam, bam! The doors to the car were forcefully opened and the three black-suited men jumped out, looking up at the emergency staircase. Crap, all right, mate.
Do you want a voice?
Sure, I'll just read all the voices for all of this.
Okay.
12 targets found. Northwest side of emergency stairs, third floor, send support. Ange, try not to move from there. Forgive our roughness. The three of them began to clamber up the emergency exit. They're already announced that they plan to be rough. This is pretty bad. As long as I don't stop breathing, they'll probably be ordered to grab me no matter what, even if they got to rip one out of my arms. Clank, 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 clank. Their heavy, wild footsteps became a helix and began to rise from the lower floors, getting closer. In the entrance lobby of the building, a woman with 7 black suit guards behind her advanced at a leisurely pace. Seeing this ostentatious entrance, the security guards for the buildings ran up to them, asking if they had an appointment.
This is Kyrie's little sister.
Okay.
Do you want to play her?
Do you want to play her?
Do you want to?
I don't know. No, I don't want to play her.
Okay, I'll play her. I'll give her Kyrie's voice. it's her sister.
They're pretty much the same person anyways.
Yeah. How typical of Tokyo people. Don't you understand the status of the person you are talking to without her having to say her name?
I'll say this one. My apologies. At our company, guests are to take a security...
Back down, scum. I came because I was called by your president. Call Okanogi Tetsuro here. To think he would call me here and then not welcome me? How typical of Tokyo people.
My apologies. Welcome to the Ushimiya group. Sumaru Kasumi, Sam.
Her name is in the characters section now.
Whoa, so many characters. I love this shit.
Sumadera Kasumi, daughter of the declining noble family Sumadera, Ushiromiya Kirie's younger sister. She despises her sisters and by extension Ange as well. She's the opposite of the freewheeling person Kirie once was and holds appearance in high regard, possessing a strong ambition for philanthropy. However, this is all just a craving for the limelight caused by the complex she has towards her sister. There are several opposing factions in the Sumadera family, and they're constantly engaged in a secret feud over who will control the vast wealth Ange holds. Now, why doesn't Ange just control it? That's a pretty good idea.
'Cause she's dead? Maybe?
No, she isn't. She's right here hanging out.
What?
She's
What, dude?
running away.
I thought, okay. For some reason, got Angie and Kyrie confused.
Oh.
Alright. With his secretary behind him, Okanogi dashingly appeared from the elevator. Even though both of them wore bold smiles, they were wrapped in a tension reminiscent of the smell of gunpowder.
Where is Angie? I came to greet that adorable daughter of my big sisters.
Strict observance of time is our motto here at the Ushimiya Group. The former chairman herself said that those who can't keep time can't keep contracts.
You call me all the way to Tokyo, and this is all you have to show for it? You let her go, didn't you?
Please, she escaped from us. We did stall her for quite some time. But unsurprisingly, she did eventually smell a rat. Of course, this wouldn't have been a problem at all if you had arrived on time, Sumadara.
Ah, these provincials...
Oh wait, no, this is me.
Oh.
Right?
No,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
These provincials and their loose concept of time.
What was that? What did you say to me?
You couldn't sense any of Kiri's open frankness in Kasumi's face. She won the arrogance of an ancient Sumatra family towards the ruined Ushimiya family, as well as pride because she didn't want anyone to notice that her family was declining so much that they couldn't ignore the Ushimiya family's wealth. Even at a glance, it was easy to understand why Ange hated her aunt so deeply. She couldn't stand even a slight insult, and though she still smiled, her eyebrows twitched. At that time, the black-suited man behind Katsumi whispered to her, Angie has been found. We are currently dealing with her. Kermit the Frog here.
Oh, I'm glad we made it in time. Thank you, Okanogi. It seems I can finally take my mischievous niece home. I've waited so long to talk with that girl in my tea room with all of the tools prepared. Sounds like I don't want to have tea with her.
Yeah, I don't feel like it. Clank, 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 clank. As the violent sound through helix, it rushed up at me from below, threatening to swallow me up. Of course, even if I fight, there's no way I'll be able to win. And yet, running into the building would be like jumping into a dead end of my own accord. My enemies will increase in number with time. If I don't do something here and now, I won't have any more chances to escape. Then 3 muscular black-suited men came into view below me. 1, 2, 3. 3 people. In other words, everyone who had gotten out of the car. If there had been just one of them, I might have been able to drop kick them or something and smash them in the head, which might work out. But it really would be impossible with 3 of them. Wait, 3. If there's just 3, I should be able to make it. I can do it. Take a deep breath. What? You idiot, stop. Look out. Wah! What the fuck? 01, calling 12. Is the package secure? We received a response. What happened? Respond. She's crazy, damn it. Oh, what the fuck? Oh, fuck. Ow. See, that worked out perfectly, didn't it? There was just 3 of them after all. I've already tried that once from a higher place. I knew I'd be able to jump down just 3 floors. It's a good thing the car that came in was right beneath me. Even if it wasn't as pleasant as a trampoline, it broke my fall a little gently and a little roughly. How rude. You didn't have to dent that much. The roof of the car broke my fall, leaving a massive dent around my body. Car roofs are surprisingly delicate. I don't think it's because of my weight. Apparently, the 3 people on the stairs hadn't planned on me jumping down. It seemed they now realized they'd been outwitted, and they were rushing down the stairs.
Yeah, car roofs are very... if you jump on one of those, it's gonna collapse.
Yeah, they're not that sturdy.
Yeah.
I've got to run and escape while I have the chance. I move my body, making clunking sounds on the car roof. Clunk, clunk, clunk. But I'd been naive. Of course, they wouldn't all rush up the stairs without leaving one person behind. There was one black-suited man left in the driver's seat of the car that had broken my fall. He stuck out his head out of the window, and when he realized what had fallen on him, he jumped out. His have caved in with the weight of my body and the car hood, crushing his head. In a rush, I jumped off the roof, but the black-suited man's reaction was really fast. Either there was a massive reward for capturing me, or there had been some punishment in store for them if they let me get away.
Or both.
Or probably both, actually. 15 scared. Ow, whoa. Don't touch me like that. Let go. Yo, fuck. I'm gonna scream a rape. I was mercilessly held down against the asphalt. I was being crushed face down, covered and pressed up from above. It was a hold without a trace of elegance, but it was extremely practical and left me with no room for resistance. I tried to push back with both hands, searching for a way to resist, but I was being pushed down solidly, and I couldn't even tear myself off the asphalt. And then another car came, squealing its tires as it slid to a sudden stop. Is it all over now? Yeah. The man that had been crushing me let out a sharp cry. He was yelling straight into my ear, making my left ear ring. What in the world? He had been fucking shot. What the fuck? Along with the black suit guy, I fell with a thunk. After landing face up, the first thing I saw was an arm stuck out right in front of my eyes. Amakusa, what are you doing here? Oh my god, this guy looks epic, dude.
Do you want to play him?
Dude, I've been playing all these characters. You give him like the most epic voice you can.
That's the most epic character, you said.
Yeah, but he looks super cool. Do you want to play him or do you want me to?
Do you want to play him?
Sure. Voice.
Because I play pretty much all of the magical characters.
Alright,
There's going to
sure.
be more magical characters coming.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Alright. Let's talk about that after we've lost him. To the car, quickly, lady. Akumaza grabbed my arm, easily pulled me up, spinning me around with himself as the center of gravity.
There's only one character in Ange's, 1998 or whatever that I have to play.
Okay. Just when I thought it was a little like a dance, he flung me through the open door into the driver's seat. I do not know how to drive. I climbed over the handbrake and slid into the passenger seat. Pushing me in, Amakusa also got into the driver's seat. Since we suddenly accelerated while I was still on all fours, I had to kick and struggle around on the chair for a while, like a turtle that's been flipped over. Amakusa... Is that how you pronounce it? Amakusa?
Yeah, Amakusa.
Okay, Amakusa checked the rear view mirror for cars in pursuit, but he flew into the artery of the big city without lowering his speed in the slightest. He's like Sonic. We sold our way between cars one after another, just like a chase scene in some action movie. I was shaken by this horrible driving and had trouble sitting back down. Are you hurt, lady? I'm fine. Humans are surprisingly durable. Next time I try to escape a downward moving elevator, I'll jump out the window instead. I guess air divers are a hobby of yours, lady. Still, I'd recommend you grab a parachute next time. Sure, if I remember to do it after leaping. Just wear a parachute on you all the time. Cool. He smacked the steering wheel, gawking. Need an explanation for this flippantly talking man. His name is Amakusa Juza. He was originally one of Aunt Ava's guards. Didn't she start to hate him because he chatted too much? He was much younger than the rest of the guards, but
there he is. He is in the characters.
Oh, nice.
Read that character.
Yeah. Amakusa Juza. A former guard of Ava's, he's fundamentally a thrill seeker, willing to take on dangerous jobs for very little pay. At one point, he did work as a guard for Ange, but after repeatedly violating Ava's strict orders not to speak to her, Ava grew to dislike him and fired him. Ange seemed to not mind having him around, as he would often chat with her. This man, who has traveled between the Japan Self-Defense Force, and the Foreign Legion, and non-government military companies, has skill in counter-sniping and protecting VIPs. Alright, that's pretty fucking cool, dude.
Mm-hmm.
He was much younger than the rest of the guards, but contrary to his outward flippancy, he'd hopped from the 1st Airborne to the JSDF to the French Foreign Legion, placing himself in overseas private military companies and high-class security companies, one after another, making for a pretty incredible and unique career. But I heard he deserted both the JSD and the French Foreign Legion, and that he'll be arrested if he enters France again. Both of these flippant episodes were very typical of him. The guards were sternly told not to chat with me unnecessarily, but he came and took a pass at me, didn't he? Aunt Ava was apparently particularly put off by that, and had supposedly dismissed him shortly before she died. It's been a while since I've heard that carefree tone. What happened after you got fired? I was coaching some people at Blackwater. When I came to the country during my time off, President Okanogi offered me a high wage. So you deserted again. I wonder how men like that can be useful for anything. Doesn't count as a desertion as long as I come back next week. I talked with him yesterday. I was told that some troublesome people might come to call on you, lady. Sorry, that turned out to be exactly right. My name probably came up since I know you, and I've got lots of crazy experience. Thanks to you. It looks I'm in for a happy vacation, plus some pocket money. So, Okanogi employed you as my guard. He probably wants to buy some gratitude from you, lady. After I got fired, I was indebted to President Okanogi in various ways. He got some dirt on me here and there, and now I can't say no to him. Ha! Seems like getting indebted to Okanogi can be pretty costly later on. So, where are you planning on taking me? Anywhere. I'm employed until the weekend. Anything after that will cost you extra. How much per day? I'll take $50,000, plus expenses. If you stop cracking jokes, I'll double it. The period of employment isn't fixed yet. It might take several weeks. That'll be tough. I'll have to call my boss to get an extension on my vacation. More than anything, I want to investigate that day. Oh, is this about Rakajima? Exactly. What happened on that island 12 years ago? I want to investigate it with my own hands to my satisfaction. Do you really expect to find anything new investigating something that old? True. But this is a journey for my own self-satisfaction. Once that's over, I'll just throw my hands up and go over to the Sumadara family. Didn't Aunt Kazumi say something about how she wanted to serve me some matcha? Maybe she'll serve me tea as I kneel on the sharp wooden blocks clutching stones or something. Damn, that sounds freaky. I'm so cool. Gotta go fast. Try and keep up.
Oh no.
Oh no. I was gonna get the punishment. My apologies. We lost sight of them. Single man thought to be an associate assisted in her escape. Judging by his possessions of a stun gun and his driving skills, he's no amateur.
I see. Thank you. What a shame, Okanogi. Shall I take this as your answer?
Leonard Getaway was your blunder. It has nothing to do with me.
I do wish to prepare some matcha for you as well in the near future. The next time you're in Kyoto, please stop by. I'm going.
Oh, are you leaving already? I could offer you some Chizuke first. With her back still facing Okanogi, she laughed softly, but with an increasingly shrill and hateful tone, using that as a substitute for a sharp, panting remark. Just as she stopped laughing, her features suddenly changed to look like a demon's, but because her back was facing him, Okanogi couldn't see that expression. Okanogi watched her go, laughing coolly. His secretary whispered over his shoulder, "Are you sure about this, Lady Ange?"
Whispering secretary.
This is another character. It's another voice.
Yeah.
Lady Ange is our company's primary stockholder. If the Sumadara family becomes her guardian. I get it. But we're the world-famous Ushiromiyas. We can't let them take us lightly. Still, it looks like that guy managed it pretty well. All that's left is to let Ange do as she pleases. I'm counting on you, Amakusa. Kasumi-sama, the escaping car was a rental. The license plate they displayed was a fake. We're clearly dealing with a pro. They'll probably abandon the car. Pursuit would be difficult. Should we have the police chase them?
Yes. Shall we have them search for our runaway daughter? They are getting paid with our taxes, so the police must be of some use every once in a while. Ho 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 ho! When I left the mansion, I boldly told Mother to leave it to me, didn't I? Do you intend to embarrass me further? It looks like it might be better for me to serve some matcha for everyone at once, doesn't it? Our underground tea room is cramped, so you'll have to wait in line.
No, we will search with everything we have.
She really is a cute kid, just like Naysan. Especially that way she freewheels and does as she pleases. Now I can't see anything but Naysan. I'm truly looking forward to it. If only I could invite Naysan's daughter to my tea room, right? Ho 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 ho!
Is tea room like underground sex dungeon? Like what?
It sounds like some sort of torture room.
Bagel. Oh shit. The Shumara family sure moved quickly. Did Okanogi sell me out? You're joking. He's my client. If he'd sold you out, he wouldn't have tired me, right? I guess that's true. So that's why he got off the elevator on the 3rd floor. Him having a car waiting in the underground parking lot was just too convenient. I figured Okanogi sold me out. Though I guess by now it's impossible to prove whether there was an ambush set up in the parking lot or not. I see, that poor president guy. Looks like you don't trust him a bit, lady. That car in the basement was mine. Oh, he was talking about you, Amakusa. I freaked when the elevator came and was empty. I wonder what would have happened by now if I hadn't been listening in on their radio. So, what's going on? If I obediently believed Okanogi and gone to the parking lot, there would have been no need for me to jump off the 3rd floor. Pretty much, yeah. Well, it turned out okay in the end.
What a crazy girl.
What a crazy fucking life. What the hell? If I hadn't suspected President Okanogi, I could have easily escaped without getting caught in a tough spot. President Okanogi might have sold me out. No, since Paranoid told me that it was better to assume that he'd sold me out, I supposed and concluded that he sold me out. Because of my inability to believe in him, regardless of his truth, my truth became, he sold me out. I thought back on President Okanogi's words. Can you really call truth without certainty truth? Truth can change completely depending on whether you have love or not. In the end, perhaps truth itself doesn't exist. There are as many interpreted truths as there are people who speak of the truth. If I can't accept something as that fluid as truth, where does the truth that I really want to find exist? And is it something I'll be able to see with my eyes? Even if something sticks to the truth right there in front of me and says it's the truth, I might not be able to see it. Without love, it cannot be seen. Oh. Gotta go fast.
This fragment of yours is very lively. It doesn't bore me.
You told me something. You commanded me to search for the truth of 12 years ago. But there's something I'm not getting.
What's that?
What is truth? There are as many truths as there are people. There are as many interpretations as there are people. And those can be twisted by opinions and changed indefinitely. Is truth really that unfixed and vague?
That's right. Truth is unfixed. It can be like a particle or like a wave, and it can hold conflicting forms at the same time. You are free to believe that the cat in the box is alive or dead. But the truth is very delicate. It can change its appearance just by being observed.
You're talking about stuff like Schrodinger's cat box. Nonsense. If you open the box, you learn the truth. Discuss about what happens before you open it is just an armchair theory.
That's right. And yet, in order to deny that abstract theory, you need to open the box. It is impossible to negate any idea about the contents of a box that cannot be opened. This is what truth is.
As long as truth isn't denied, it keeps its form.
That's right. As long as truth isn't observed, it keeps its form.
In other words, if it isn't exposed, any miraculous statement can suffice as truth.
Yes, even if they contradict each other, endless ideas can exist as truth at the same time without being negated.
So, even something as screwed up as my family being captured by the Rockinjima witch and shut up 12 years ago for all eternity can exist as truth as long as we don't know what happened 12 years ago.
This witch called Beatrice forcibly made room for endless imaginings in the Rockinjima of 12 years ago, enveloping all of it inside a cat box. Everything inside the unopenable box is truth.
That's right. We don't know what happened on the island, so it becomes endless. That's assuming no one opens it up. I just have to wrench it open. But that box was closed up 12 years ago, and I don't even know where it is. Even if I visit Rockinjima, just what can I learn about what happened 12 years ago on that desolated island?
Who knows? I wonder what you could learn. This is something that can only be done by the person who is able to walk around freely in the world of 1998, 12 years in the future. The final witch, Ange Beatrice.
That sounds fucking stupid.
Beatrice's game board lasts 2 days, from October 4, 1986 to the 5th. In other words, you're a piece who can move freely outside her game board. And even Beatrice cannot influence this future that lies outside the game board.
If you say it like that, it sounds like I'm a pretty overpowered piece.
The future of 12 years later in which you are placed certainly is distant. However, the further a piece is placed in the future, the stronger power it holds. I told you, didn't I? The truth changes its appearance when it is observed.
Come to think of it, I heard something like that once. Even if one day all of a sudden a star in the constellation Centaurus were to explode, the light from that explosion would have to cross 4.4 light years, so it would take 4.5 years to reach the Earth.
That's right. In other words, even if the sun in Centaurus has already died, people on Earth won't be able to perceive that fact for 4.5 years, because no method of perception exists that is faster than the speed of light.
When we learn that the sun in Centaurus has exploded, we Earth people will paint over our history of 4.5 years ago with a new truth. We will revise history with a new fact that it exploded 4.5 years ago. However, for the 4.5 year period until we learn that, despite the fact that it has already died, the mistaken truth that the sun of Centaurus still exists will be able to exist as truth. The truth of the future wins against the truth of the past. Hey, that's a pretty good way to put it. That's right. By itself, the Rockinjima accident gave rise to nothing but suspicion of a conspiracy involving Aunt Ava and the Ushimiya family assets. But later on, it was dramatized and linked to the occult, and a conspiracy was painted over by the legend of the witch. Even though it was clambered over as a conspiracy at the time of the crime, later on strange occult theories which claimed that it was the work of a witch ran rampant and began to paint over the truth of October 5th, 1986. The conspiracy theories will probably be forgotten over time, and only the more bizarre, impressive witch theory will continue to remain as superstition, eventually covering up the conspiracies. That's right, the false truth that exists before the light from an exploding star reaches Earth is almost like the conspiracy theory, which is a human theory. The wine bottle with a letter in it that drifted a source several years ago, the message bottle painted over that theory and made things return to the occult theory, which
Remember
is a
the message
theory.
bottle?
Yeah, I remember the message bottle. I don't remember. It was from Maria, right?
Yeah, it was signed Maria.
Yeah, signed
Ushiro
Maria.
Miya.
That's right. A witch didn't exist during 1986. The witch took control of Rakanjima because she was observed several years later by us humans of the future, thanks to that message bottle.
A small revision is necessary. The witch could have existed even during 1986, as one of many endless possibilities that can exist.
Certainly, she'd disappear if she were observed, so she curls up inside the cat box. That's what makes the message bottle so nasty. The witch tried to get out of the box. She made it so that she'd be observed, weeding out possibilities that conflicted with the witch theory. In other words, to make it impossible to negate her, she negated all possibilities other than the witch theory. What the hell? So in other words, Beatrice satisfied the devil's proof with a frontal attack, and that was part of the witch's plan from the beginning.
The message bottle is information observed in the future after 1986. It cannot be observed by Beatrice or Battler. It can only be observed by Ange Beatrice.
I really didn't want to investigate the message bottle. After all, reading that would be like listening to the witches say. I thought the witches' theory was just a crazy fantasy, so I thought of it as nothing more than a waste of time. But Okanogi told me, you can't see things in 3 dimensions with only one eye.
You mean that while looking at it from the viewpoint of denying witches, you must also look at it from the viewpoint of accepting witches?
Dude, I said the same thing!
That's a correct way of thinking. The number of viewpoints is like a denominator. If you have one viewpoint, the mystery in the numerator doesn't decrease in the slightest. However, the more your number of viewpoints increases, the more the mystery begins to be divided.
Oh. I understand. There was a message bottle that washed up on the neighboring island several years after the crime. That passed into the hands of a dilettante. Dilettante? Whatever. I made an appointment with him just in case. I was able to hear Aunt Ava's say from Okanogi. Next up is the witches say. Why don't I listen to Beatrice's say? Whoa, dude. Pretty fucking cool. So she's gonna go to fucking the island and walk around with... I forget this guy's name, but with the cool guy.
Amakusa.
Amakusa, right. Dude, I fucking love this. I love how we're not constrained to the island now, and that we actually get to see the outside world.
Yeah, well, what are we going to be reading next week? The first day, October 4th, 1986.
Oh no! No! We're back here again! Damn it.
It'll be Ava. Ava, the only one who survived.
3 months left to live. What the fuck?
They're probably talking about Kinzo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright. Well. I love that new cast of characters. It's refreshing. Alright, now is there anyone else? Yeah, okay, cool. And so, Maria's in the witch's place.
Maria's in the witch's place?
Yeah.
Oh, talking to Ange. In Ange's flashbacks, where she reads Maria's diary in her flashback.
Or like, I'm talking about like in the character tips.
What?
Yeah, in the character tips. There's like a new page with like all the witches.
Oh, well, we didn't read that. Oh, shit. Okay, fuck.
Ruh-roh.
Sorry. Okay, so we need to read... Oh, we've read Lambda Delta.
Mm-hmm.
We've read
Robert,
all of them
read
except
Beatrice.
for Maria and Ange.
Alright, I'll read both. Ushiro Maria. A little magician who has inherited the black blood from Kinzo. Unlike Kinzo, she was gifted with talent and began to tread the path of the magician from a young age. However, her power is still weak, and she hasn't yet graduated from an apprentice's level. However, she is skilled with enchantments, which bestow magical power upon objects, and the magical items she creates are all masterclass. What the fuck kind of ranking system is this shit? Alright. Ange, the Endless Witch, who will live for 1,000 years in the future. Or perhaps she's a hunter of witches who will fell them all. Witches cannot be felled if they are not understood. Witches cannot be felled even if they are understood. To understand witches and yet deny them. Only this contrary power gives her the blade with which to fell witches.
Contradictory power.
Called victory power. Yeah. Fuck is this? Is this a fucking video game? Like what? The power to deny witches and also understand them.
Yeah. That's what you're playing a video game.
I guess. I thought I was reading a book.
Well, it's supposed to be a video game where you try and figure out who the killer is. That's what you're doing.
Dude, I want to make something like this. This seems fucking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
This would be really fun to make.
I told you it gets way more complicated as it goes on. Now
it does get super complicated, but it's fun as fuck. I'm just taken out and put into another world, and it's like, wow, this world is so awesome, and I completely forget about the mystery. It's like, oh, wow.
And then you get thrown right back to the island.
Yep.
He's not going to let you forget about that mystery. And there's still every scene is still important to the mystery. He's still giving hints, even if it doesn't seem like it's got anything to do with the mystery.
Yeah. I just can't see the hints. I see some of the hints. Some of the hints, yeah. I see them. I see a few of them. Alright, but yeah, I think that was this last episode of Umineko.
And that's the last one we're recording today.
Yep.
Next weekend we'll be back and we'll see what's going on in 1986 again this time.
Again, once more. That's another episode. Rick and Morty, 1,000 years. Alright.
Okay.
See you.
See you.